This is why you'll never feel safe relationship with a narcissist. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to our series on narcissistic abuse and the patterns that come with it. My goal is to help you recognize these patterns so you can understand that you're not alone in this. For many of you, a lot of what we discuss will hit close to home. Remember, knowing you're not the only one can be incredibly comforting. In each video, I share tips on how to cope with these challenges. I hope this series becomes a valuable resource for you as you navigate through these tough times. Today, we're diving into a very common pattern among those who have experienced narcissistic abuse, the pervasive feeling of a lack of safety in the world. But before we jump into that, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon to get notified every time we release new content. Let's get started. Let's talk about what I mean by feeling unsafe after dealing with narcissistic abuse. Once you've been through that kind of experience, you don't feel secure anymore. This is a common reaction for people who have suffered narcissistic abuse. By feeling unsafe, I don't mean you're constantly worried someone is physically threatening you, though it might feel like that in a metaphorical sense. It's more about a deep-seated sense of psychological insecurity around others. This goes hand in hand with trust issues, which is another aspect of narcissistic abuse I cover in a different video, but it's more than that. Feeling unsafe is a kind of unease. It's not just about not trusting people. It's a mix of things like cynicism, fear of expressing your true thoughts, holding back, and always feeling on edge. You worry about being manipulated again, so you keep your guard up all the time. When you got into a relationship with a narcissist, you probably did so willingly as an adult. This can make you feel like you were duped or foolish, though you definitely weren't, which leads to feeling unsafe and doubting your own instincts. After being manipulated not just by your partner, but also by others around you, like the narcissist's supporters or people who just don't understand, you can feel completely disoriented. This widespread manipulation, or gaslighting by the tribe, as I've called it, leaves you unsure of whom to trust. It's like being in one of those crime dramas where everyone is suspicious of everyone else. It's a draining way to live because, unlike a movie, you're not trying to navigate life in constant paranoia. Growing up in a narcissistic family messes with your sense of safety. It's like living in a minefield where you never know what's going to set off an explosion of anger from your parents. Maybe you tried to keep the peace or hide to avoid the chaos. But either way, feeling safe at home was a rarity. And when you grow up in that kind of environment, it sticks with you. It's like carrying around a backpack full of insecurity and uncertainty into your adult life. Think of safety like the second floor in a house of needs, according to Maslow. At the bottom, you've got the basic stuff like food and water, and then safety comes next. It's a big deal because feeling safe is crucial for our well-being. When safety's missing, it messes with us big time. And that's one of the rough outcomes of dealing with narcissistic abuse over the long haul. Patterns like hypervigilance, where you're always on high alert, are common in folks who've been through narcissistic abuse. It's like you're constantly feeling uneasy, never quite comfortable in your own skin. And that lack of safety makes it tough to dive into new relationships. Especially after a toxic one, you might find yourself sticking close to familiar faces, wary of letting new ones in. Many who've faced narcissistic abuse feel like they'll never fully relax or trust again. It's no wonder, after enduring that kind of mistreatment, you start doubting yourself and others, and that sense of safety never quite comes back. It's tough dealing with narcissistic abuse because a lot of folks just don't understand it. You might hear things like, "Narcissistic abuse isn't even real," or "You're out of that relationship now. Why keep talking about it?" Or, "They never laid a hand on you, so what's the big deal?" But it's not about physical harm. It's the constant mind games, the confusion, the feeling of never being believed or valued. And it's the fact that the narcissist never owns up to their actions that really messes with your head. That kind of psychological pain is hard to explain unless you've been through it yourself. Feeling unsafe can make you tiptoe around like you're testing the water, unsure if it's safe to dive in. It's like being cautious, taking things slow. And that's all right. If you're feeling this lack of safety, What can you do about it? First and foremost, cut yourself some slack. Sadly, for many who've been through narcissistic abuse, feeling completely safe might always feel a bit out of reach. It could take you a tad longer to open up, to trust others, to let your guard down, and that's perfectly fine. Don't rush yourself to match other people's timelines or expectations. Safety, that feeling of security, might come with time, but by staying a bit cautious at first, you might also shield yourself from another toxic person sneaking into your life. Next up, take small steps. Whether you're fresh out of a narcissistic relationship or still tangled up in one, reconnecting with your own circle of friends can be a good start. Narcissistic relationships often leave us feeling cut off, so take a moment to gauge how comfortable you feel around those familiar faces. Then, consider diving into mindfulness and meditation. These practices work wonders, offering a daily dose of grounding. Just focusing on the here and now, paying attention to your breath, can help you reclaim a sense of inner peace and control, bolstering your feeling of safety from within. Lastly, let's talk about exercise. Believe it or not, getting active can be a powerful tool for boosting your sense of safety. Whether you're hitting the weights, going for a walk, or simply feeling your heart pound, physical activity can help you feel stronger both inside and out. It's about building resilience, creating a sense of ownership over your body, and ultimately, your safety. While the shadow of narcissistic abuse may still linger, taking these steps can help fortify your defenses and bring a little more peace to your world. I hope these suggestions resonate with you. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for updates. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.